A lot of us grew up with tech that felt, well, kind of alive, right? Maybe you had a digital pet you had to feed, or that one video game character that just seemed to get you. Well, what used to be a little gimmick is now, it's our new reality. We've jumped from simple gadgets to AI that we don't just use, we actually form relationships with them. So today, we're going to dive into the wild science behind this whole AI friendship thing.
So let me ask you something. Be honest. Have you ever said please or thank you to your smart speaker? Or maybe felt a little twinge of guilt when that Tamagotchi started beeping because you forgot to feed it? If you're nodding along, you are definitely not alone. It turns out that feeling of connection is super common, and there's some really cool science that explains exactly why we do it.
All right, so to really get a handle on where this is all headed, we gotta take a quick look back. Our whole relationship with these AI buddies has been changing for decades, and honestly, the speed of it all is just mind-blowing.
Okay, look at this timeline. It's wild. Back in '96, we had the Tamagotchi, basically a keychain that taught us a tiny bit about responsibility. Flash forward just 5 years, and boom, we get Paro, this therapeutic robot seal used in hospitals for real emotional support. Then 2011 hits, and Siri puts that companion right in our pocket, just as a voice. And now, we have things like ChatGPT, AI that we can have deep conversations with, that can help us write, that can even talk philosophy. Think about that. In a single generation, we went from a digital pet to a digital partner.
So yeah, in just a few decades, we've gone from digital pets to digital partners. But why? This isn't just about making cooler gadgets. There's something deeper going on. What is it about us that's driving this huge change?
Well, it turns out this isn't just some weird trend. It's a whole field of science, and it's all about a really basic human need. Oh, and a ton of money.
Yeah, researchers actually have a term for this. It's called social companionship. And listen, the goal here isn't to replace your human friends. It's about having what they call a pleasant and accessible relationship, something that just makes you feel secure and, good. And what's happening now is that tech is being built specifically to give us that feeling.
And if you're wondering why this is all moving so fast, here's your answer. $18.4 billion. That's what the market for this stuff is expected to be worth by 2026. That is a huge amount of money pushing companies to figure out how to build AIs that we connect with and stick with.
Okay, so how do they actually do it? How do you build an AI that feels like a friend? It kind of seems like magic, right? But believe it or not, researchers have pretty much mapped it out. It's almost like a recipe, with 3 main parts: the ingredients you put in, how they get mixed together, and what comes out of the oven at the end.
So here's the framework. It's a simple 3-step process. You've got the inputs, which is basically what the AI is made of. Then you have the process, which is all about how we feel and react when we interact with it. And finally, you get the results, the real impact that this relationship has. So let's take a look at each of these steps.
Okay, step 1, the inputs. These are the ingredients. For an AI to feel like a real companion, it needs a few key things. First, it's got to be conversational, able to hold a decent chat. Second, it needs to be functional. It has to actually be useful and help you with stuff. And the secret sauce? It has to be social. It needs a personality, a role, something that makes it feel like more than just a program.
All right, now for step 2, the process. And this is where it gets really interesting, because it's not about the tech anymore. It's about us. Those inputs start to trigger actual feelings inside of us. We start wondering, can I trust this thing? We feel what's called social presence. That's when it starts to feel like you're talking to a someone instead of a something. And from there, you can actually start to feel a bond, a sense of closeness. These feelings, they're the magic glue between the code and the connection.
And that brings us to step 3, the results. This is the final dish. When you get that trust and closeness right, the outcomes are, they're pretty incredible. We're talking measurable stuff here, like actually reducing loneliness, creating real emotional connections. And of course, from the company's point of view, it builds some serious loyalty to their service.
But okay, building tech that can literally form an emotional bond with us, that's not just a cool engineering problem, right? It throws open the door to this whole universe of really complicated, really important ethical questions. And honestly, we're just starting to figure them out.
This quote here really hits the nail on the head. It says that feelings, the very substance of humanness, should only be for human interaction. Wow, that really makes you think, doesn't it? It forces us to ask a tough question. What do we stand to lose if some of our deepest relationships are with things that aren't human?
And this debate really has two very clear sides. On the one hand, the good it could do is massive. I mean, think about using AI to help with loneliness, especially for the elderly or isolated. It can offer support without any judgment. But on the other hand, the risks are just as big. We're talking about the potential for companies to manipulate our feelings, the danger of misusing our most personal data, and the big one, what if this hurts our ability to connect with other actual humans?
So here's the thing. The technology is just sprinting forward, way faster than our ability to understand what it all means in the long run. And that leaves us with some huge unanswered questions that are going to shape our future with AI.
First off, what does this do to our relationships with each other? You know, human relationships are messy. They take work. If you have a perfect AI friend available 24/7, are you still going to put in the effort with real people? Then there's this. Can we even build an AI that's genuinely moral? And whose morals do we use? An engineers in Silicon Valley? Yours? Mine? How can we ever be sure it has our best interests at heart, especially when the company that made it wants to make money? And that leads us to the biggest question of them all. Right now, we are getting incredibly good at making AI that can imitate emotions. But what happens to us? To our whole idea of what it means to be human, if one day they stop imitating and actually start to feel?